Hi everybody, here we are again, and it's Wolf is Wary. It's nice, but we're not really here to talk about that. Slightly. Dodgy white powders. I've been experimenting recently with a few different ingredients. You'll have seen in one of the videos, one of the stout videos, used lactose powder. It's not actually white, it looks sort of white until you have it up against something that's proper white, and it's more of a creamy white, which is lactose powder. It costs £4.95 for 500 grams. And it adds sweetness to your beer and mouthfeel, because lactose is non-fermentable by standard yeasts. I say standard yeasts because you can get some wild yeasts in there and they will ferment your lactose as well and probably produce naff flavours, which you don't want. So that was in a stout. On the strength of the stout, I bought some lactose powder because I enjoyed that sweetness and the mouthfeel of it. While I was buying, I was having a look at other additives that you can get. Maltodextrin, that's the white powder I've just sort of showed you. That comes at £3.50 for 500 grams. That's also non-fermentable and adds body and mouthfeel to all beers. Doesn't actually add sweetness. I'm going to do that in a minute. Standard, as everyone knows about, dry malt extract. That's £4.45 for 500 grams. Not white. This is a medium dry malt extract. A light dry malt extract is lighter than that, but that's a pale brown colour. And then I'll show you the tub. That's not what's in it, but that's also a dodgy white powder. Jesus, the pigs would have a field day coming round here. All these dodgy white powders knocking about, and then they'd be dead sick because none of them is illegal. Yeah, so VWP is generally a cleaner and steriliser, but it's just a tub. For PGA powder. Now this is another additive that I came across, and this is to promotes head formation, head formation and retention. Now this, the Woodford Wherry, which is standard, does have a quarter of a teaspoon of PGA powder in it and 100 grams of maltodextrin. So, does it work? Yes, I'd say so. That's retaining the head. I was about 5 minutes setting up while this was in the glass, and it doesn't, or so far, I'm still experimenting, it doesn't produce like a thick head, but it produces a nice cap that adds lacing to the glass. Quite good lacing. They don't add anything to the flavour. PGA, I don't feel I need to try PGA. It ends up, when you manage to mix it in, it ends up like a thick gelatinous substance. This works by, it has long chain molecules that one end of the molecule likes water, the other end of the molecule doesn't like water. A bit like washing up liquid. That works on a similar sort of process. I think that's even better because one end of the molecule likes oils and stuff, so it wants to stick in oils, whereas the other end wants to stick in water. So it grabs your oils off and produces blobs of oil that wash away. Science for you. So that's similar, but what happens is that it wants to keep the bubbles because one end wants to stay in the liquid and one end wants to stay out of it. So it tends to aid the head retention and head formation. And maltodextrin works just by adding extra sugar, non-fermentable sugar. I once said it adds any sweetness. Not maltose, the lactose adds sweetness. What the hell? Let's have a see. We've got a quarter of a teaspoon, not using the whole quarter of a teaspoon. Let's put that somewhere where it's not going to fall over. Yeah. Sorry about that. Right, so let's give it a whirl. Oh, sorry, no. Just tip some onto the hand and maybe ever so slightly sweet. Not really. Certainly not sugar sweet. So, what the heck? Why not? In for a penny, in for a pound. Not cut this bag open. Right. Not used. As I say, I've not used the lactose powder, apart from in the stout, the stout that came with lactose powder in it, in the kit. Right, so again a dodgy cork spoonful. It's not, it's a quarter of a teaspoon. Shit. Dear me, I meant. Dear me. So we've got about half of a quarter of a teaspoon. And we'll give that a whirl. Yeah, that's sweeter. Definitely sweeter. Not still nowhere near as sweet as sugar. I'm a crackhead. No, not a crackhead. I can't get into this, so we might give it a miss. Talk amongst yourselves while I try and get this knot undone. It's coming. Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, dry malt extract. I'm sure you've all tasted it before. That's sweet and malty. It's like Horlicks. Horlicks taken neat from the jar. Yeah. So that's what I'm experimenting with at the moment. The dry malt extract is a pain in the arse. got to be. It's got to be said. I've not found the best way of hydrating it. I'm thinking actually, probably do it like Horlicks, where you mix a little bit of, mix it in with a little bit of water until you've got a thick paste. But there again, Horlicks, you've got about 5 teaspoonfuls. If you're using dry malt extract, you've generally got a kilo. Obviously, it depends on how much you want to use. But if you're going to replace the sugar, you've got a kilo of, for a kitten kilo. So if you're replacing the sugar for a kitten kilo kit with dry malt extract rather than basic standard table sugar, you're going to have a kilo of dry malt extract. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. Of course it does. And mixing that into a thick paste, well, it's twice that much. So you're going to have a huge mixing bowl, not a cup. You're going to be maybe a big mixing jug. Mixing bowl is probably going to be easiest. So, dry malt extract, half. The lactose powder, very, very easy actually. That went straight into the brew. I think I used a 500 gram packet, and I just tipped it in. Didn't clump or anything, just mixed in, dead easy. So, if you want something that adds slight sweetness and mouthfeel, obviously there's people out there that can't use lactose powder. Vegans, diabetics. Diabetics shouldn't really be drinking beer, but we all have our vices, shall we say. But for diabetics, it's better to have as little sugar in your beer as possible. So, all of the sugars are out. All the sugars are out, basically. Well, no, dry malt extract isn't out because that ferments. Did I mention that? Dry malt extract ferments, but it does add flavour to your beer. Does dry malt extract? Maltodextrin is somewhat in between. If you're not careful, it'll clump. But you're only tending to use, so far, I think you tend to use up to 250 grams in a 23 litre batch of beer. I've used 100 grams. That, you can see the head is now, it's still got a cap, it's still there, it's still producing the lacing, but it's not a thick head that you would get. That's very nice. So yeah, maltodextrin, somewhere in between. You've got to take a little care. Again, do it a bit like the Horlicks mix. Mix it in with a little bit of water first. Get it to a thick paste. I think I found 100 mils to 100 grams. I'll show you at one point. I'll do a video on it, but yeah, you make a paste first and then add water to it. I don't add it straight to the beginning of the brew. Sorry, while I'm preparing the beginning of the brew, because otherwise you end up with a lot of froth on top when you're adding the water up to 23 litres. So I add it at about 20 litres, so it'll have approximately about a litre at that point. So there we go, that's what I've been doing. I just thought I'd give you a little bit of an update, and when I've finalised, because I think The PGA powder, I possibly need a little bit more in per batch of beer. Maltodextrose, maybe a little bit more of that. The lactose, I think I used 500 grams last time. Will I use 500 grams again? Don't know. In a stout, yes. For a sweet or milk stout. But I found there was a nice bitter that had sweetness. I might try some lactose in something like a wherry, something that I know about. Just see if we can get that sweetness in there and the body. So, like, comment, subscribe. See you next time. Cheers. Bye. Start to realize my nights are all the same. My head is bloody banging, but who's the one to blame? Is this a one-way ticket on a train line?